The first time my parents told me my daughter was inconvenient, I thought they were just overwhelmed. It was a hot July evening, and I'd brought Ava, my 4-year-old, to their place after work because my sitter had canceled last minute. My mother opened the door, looked down at Ava's sweaty face, then turned to me and sighed. "Why do you always expect us to drop everything for your child?" I laughed awkwardly and handed her a cold soda, trying to lighten the mood. "It's just for a couple hours, Mom. I have to pick up an extra shift. Rent's due. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video." My dad didn't even look up from his recliner. "We raised our kids, not our grandkids." Ava waved at him from behind my legs, clutching her purple stuffed rabbit like a shield. "Hi, Grandpa." He grunted. That was it. No smile, no warmth. Still, I thought maybe they were just tired. They were always colder to me than they were to my sister, Courtney. But lately, their indifference had sharpened into something cruel, like I was some mosquito buzzing around their real family. Courtney's husband, Courtney's kids, Courtney's perfect life, funded by them. Courtney never worked a day in her life. She married a man my parents adored, a dentist who bought them cruise tickets and paid for their kitchen remodel. When she had her twins, my mom knitted blankets for them. When I had Ava, I got a text that said, "Congrats," followed by, "Hope you can afford her." I swallowed that hurt for years, bit down on it like glass in my mouth, because Ava didn't deserve to see me bitter. I worked 2 jobs, skipped meals, skipped birthdays, but I kept my daughter safe, warm, and loved. She smiled every night before bed. That meant I was doing something right, until the night they left her screaming at the dumpster. That day started like any other disaster. I was called into work last minute for a shift that paid double. Ava had a stomach bug and couldn't go to daycare. I called Courtney, straight to voicemail. I texted her. No answer. I knew better than to ask, but I called my parents. "Just a few hours," I pleaded. "Please." There was a long pause. "We're heading to dinner," my mom said flatly. "Reservations at 6. I looked at the time. It was 5:22. "I can be there in 10 minutes, please. Ava hasn't eaten all day. She needs rest, and I swear I'll pick her up before you even get back." Silence again. Then my dad got on the phone. "We'll wait 10 minutes, he said. "Not one more." I thanked them until my voice shook, bundled Ava into the car with her bunny, and drove like a storm was chasing me. When I pulled into their driveway, they were already walking toward their car, my mom in heels too high for her age, my dad patting his pockets for his wallet. "She's sick," I said gently. "Just let her lie on the couch. I packed her. Medicine and everything." My mom opened the back door. Ava whimpered. "I don't feel good." "You'll be fine," she muttered, barely glancing at her. "Just don't throw up on anything expensive." My dad leaned down to Ava, eye to eye. "No noise, no fussing. Got it?" Ava blinked. I kissed her forehead, whispered, "You're safe. Mama loves you," and left, promising myself I'd bring her ice cream when I got off. That promise died in the middle of my shift. At 7:43, my phone buzzed. From Mom. "She cried too much. We left her outside. Can't be bothered. Enjoy your shift." I thought I was reading it wrong. I called. No answer. Called again. Straight to voicemail. My hands trembled as I threw off my apron and bolted out the back door. I didn't even tell my manager. I just ran. It took 11 minutes to get there. When I pulled up to their house, the porch was empty. The lights were off. But I heard something. Ava. Crying. From behind the trash bins. I sprinted to the side of the house, and there she was, curled in a ball on the cold concrete next to the dumpster, her bunny soaked in what looked like soda. Her face was blotchy, her hands shaking, her eyes wild. "Mommy!" She ran into my arms, her body ice cold. "I called for you. I called for you so much." I didn't say anything. I just held her. And in that moment, I stopped being the daughter who begged for crumbs of love. I became the mother who would never forget. I didn't knock on the door. I didn't scream. I took Ava home, warmed her soup, held her until she fell asleep on my chest. Then I opened my laptop, and I started planning. Not just revenge, but removal. Not from their house, from their lives, permanently. I didn't sleep that night. I just lay there in the dark, Ava's breath soft against my chest, and watched the ceiling fan spin like a clock counting down to the end of whatever illusion of family I had left. The next morning, I took Ava to the pediatrician. Her voice was hoarse, her throat red from crying in the cold, her temperature low. The doctor looked at me with cautious concern. "How long was she out there?" I lied. "A minute or two." She looked like she didn't believe me, but she nodded, gave me medicine, and told me to make sure she stays warm and safe. I walked out of that office feeling like the walls of my world had already crumbled, and all I had left was this one tiny hand in mine, and I wasn't going to let it go. Not again, not ever. That week, I didn't contact my parents, didn't respond to my mother's text 2 days later. "We hope Ava learned her lesson. Disrespect is loud. She was loud." I didn't even get angry. I just read it, closed the message, and added it to a private folder I'd just created. Folder name: Truth They Never Expected. Every text, every insult, every "she's not our problem" they ever sent me, I screenshotted it all. But my plan wasn't about exposure. That's too easy, too public. I didn't want pity. I didn't want social media points. I wanted consequence and silence. The kind that eats away at people when they think they've won. So I started with the thing they cared about most: Courtney's status. I knew my parents were obsessed with their image, especially now that Courtney's husband was running for local office. My dad went around bragging to everyone that his son-in-law was the future of the district. My mom printed fake campaign shirts with our last name underlined like it was royalty. They had dinner fundraisers. They threw garden parties. They made donations they couldn't afford just so people would see their names on plaques. Meanwhile, I was invisible, except I wasn't, because I still had something none of them paid attention to: a job, a position. I worked in logistics and scheduling for one of the city's major hotel chains, the same one that just happened to be hosting Courtney's husband's big campaign event in 3 weeks. I pulled every favor I had, shifted calendars, swapped names, scheduled my coworker, a friend, to be in charge of event coordination that night. Then I requested her for event detail backup 3 days before the fundraiser, just to confirm some catering needs. When I told her whose name was on the event, she blinked. "Wait, that's your family?" I nodded. "You want this event to go well?" I smiled. "I want it to go exactly the way they planned." She understood. Meanwhile, at home, I spent every night showing Ava what love actually meant. She got extra bedtime stories, new pajamas. I saved up to buy her a $12 Play Doctor kit because she said she wanted to make sick kids better someday. But I also started pulling back from my parents in public. When they called, I let it ring. When they asked about Ava, I gave one-word answers. I watched them start to squirm. Then Courtney came over. She stood in my doorway with her perfect hair and fake pearls and said, "Look, I know things got out of hand, but Mom and Dad are really hurt you're ignoring them." I stared at her. "You mean they're hurt I didn't thank them for putting my daughter next to a garbage bin?" She rolled her eyes. "God, you're always so dramatic. She's fine, isn't she?" I didn't say anything, just slowly closed the door on her face, and she banged on it. "You're jealous. You always have been. Just because Mom and Dad chose me doesn't mean you get to ruin everything now." Chose. That word rang like a bell in my skull. They chose her. Every single time. And now I was choosing me. 3 nights before the campaign fundraiser, I got another message from Mom. "Courtney says you've been cold. What happened to family first? That's why we went to dinner. Family. We couldn't deal with all your drama anymore." I didn't respond. I printed the message and added it to a sealed envelope. Ava helped me tape it shut. The night of the event arrived. I dressed simple. Black blouse, dark jeans, flat shoes, nothing fancy. I wasn't there to make a scene. I showed up at the hotel just before the guests arrived and slipped into the back office where my friend handed me a folder. Inside was everything I needed: seating charts, mic schedules, a list of VIP donors, and one tiny detail only I would have noticed: the Family Spotlight segment. 5 minutes were reserved for proud family remarks, a moment when the campaign manager planned to bring up Courtney and her parents for a brief speech on character, values, and legacy. My friend looked at me. "You sure you want to go through with this?" I nodded. "I'm not saying a word." And I didn't, but I made sure someone else did. You see, in that envelope Ava had helped me seal, the one we labeled Truth They Never Expected, it didn't just have screenshots. It had a printed timeline, dates, times, text messages, and a statement written in block letters by Ava's own hand. I helped her spell it out letter by letter. "Grandma left me at the trash. I was scared. I cried a lot. I called for Mom. She didn't come." That envelope was slipped into the donation box at the event, right as the Proud Family segment began. The campaign manager picked it up by mistake, thinking it was a donor form. He opened it on stage, started reading it live. By the time he hit, "I called for Mom," she didn't come. The whole room had fallen silent. Courtney's smile was frozen. My father blinked. My mother shook her head in slow motion. Then whispers, then gasps, then phones out. Cameras. The word dumpster hung in the air like a curse. Courtney lunged for the mic. "That's fake. That's planted. My sister's trying to ruin us." And that's when I stood up from the back row, walked down the center aisle, didn't say a word. I handed the campaign manager my ID and nodded. He read it, then looked at Courtney. "You didn't mention your sister worked at the hotel." They asked me to speak. I refused, because silence is heavier than any speech. I simply turned and walked out. And I swear, I didn't hear clapping. I heard silence. The kind that burns through pride and settles deep in the chest, the kind that destroys. They didn't call right away. For a week, all I saw were headlines. "Candidate's campaign rocked by family scandal." "Why was a child left crying near a dumpster?" "The sister who stayed silent while the truth spoke louder." Courtney's husband dropped out of the race within days. Their major donors pulled out. My father lost his consulting side hustle that only existed because of who his son-in-law was. My mother stopped showing up to her church committees. They went quiet, until they didn't. It started with a text from Dad. "This has gone too far. You've made your point." Then Mom called, left a voicemail, sniffling. "We're ruined. Courtney's marriage is on the rocks. People are saying things. Your daughter exaggerated. Please, we're still your parents." Still. That word again, like biology, is a debt I still owed them. They sent a gift, a doll for Ava, no card. Ava handed it back to me and asked, "Is this from the people who called me loud?" I nodded. She whispered, "I don't want it." So I donated it to the shelter down the block. They came in person next. One evening, I opened the door and saw them standing there, both thinner than I remembered, eyes hollow, like people who had been starving for attention and suddenly realized no one was watching anymore. Dad tried to smile. "Can we come in?" Ava stood behind me, clutching my hand. I looked down at her, then back at them. "No." Mom's mouth fell open. "We're your family." I shook my head. "No, family doesn't dump children beside trash. Family doesn't toast to their pain." Dad snapped, "We raised you." I smiled. "And now I'm raising her. Without you." I closed the door slowly, locked it, sat down beside Ava and turned on her favorite cartoon. We shared popcorn on the couch while my phone buzzed behind us, unanswered, because I wasn't living for apologies anymore. I was living for peace, for warmth, for bedtime songs and safe arms and a future where Ava would never doubt if she mattered. My parents can beg. But silence? Silence is all they'll ever get from me now. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.